All right, hello everybody, and welcome to a very quick summary of the Mexican-American War to help us out with the weird stuff we're dealing with in distance learning. So, by the end of today, we will have expanded America to what resembles our modern day borders, which is exciting because we've been slowly moving that way all year. So, to get us started, this is the territory of Mexico. They owned all this. Right nowadays, there's California here, right? This whole area they call the government of New Mexico. And this is Texas. This little chunk is what they consider the province of Texas within Mexico. So, Texas, this little Republic of Texas, had been lived in by a lot of Americans starting in the 1820s. A lot of Americans moved there to farm. They brought slaves there, even though slavery was illegal in Mexico. And there are some disputes between the Mexican government and the Americans living in the Republic of Texas. The Americans actually outnumber Mexicans within the Republic of Texas. The issue is that the Americans, oftentimes they refuse to follow the Mexican laws. They thought of themselves as Americans even though they were living in a different country. So they have their own revolution, their own rebellion, and they form the Lone Star Republic, which is its own country. So now, Mexico, even though they've lost it, they hope to eventually gain it back, which obviously we know does not happen. But this is 1835. So this was the section of land shown by this little red section that Mexico lost, but they still own all this. That being said, by the end of this lesson, they're going to have lost not only Texas, but also all of this area as well. So, the Lone Star Republic, again, it's only a country for like 10 years. The thing about it, though, is that a lot of Americans live there from the start. So what they hoped to do was just join America right once they had that revolution, right? In their ideal world, 1835, they had their revolution. 1836, bam, they're a United States state. The issue, though, is that they had so many slaves, and they were definitely going to be a pro-slavery state, that America decides not to admit them because they're worried that that's going to upset the balance of slave states versus free states. So even though Texas keeps trying to become a state, we decline. As a solution to this, Texas, they threaten to join Great Britain instead. So this kind of forces America's hand because they don't want Great Britain to be back in the continental North America. So America finally does let in Texas as a state. We also let in another state to balance things out. That way the slavery issue does not get too much more difficult. Once we have Texas, the issue we run into is that we want not only Texas, but also all of this area to the west of Texas. So we offer Mexico $30 million for this whole section of land. Mexico, unfortunately, they decline. They say, nope, not going to sell it. We want to keep our land, which, is fair. Can't blame the guy for trying. America, though, we try to force their hand, basically. The Republic of Texas, as we'll see here, has two different borders. The Mexican government consider the Nueces River as this border. So that means Texas would only be this section of the country, would only be that area. America, though, we say, oh, well, actually, the border is the Rio Grande. And so the difference in these two borders is this whole red section here. So at certain points, it is almost doubling the size of Texas when we consider the difference from border to border. So due to this dispute, America, we decide to kind of force Mexico's hand. And we station troops. Zachary Taylor, who later becomes president, actually, he is posted up on the Rio Grande River. And James K. Polk says that, he's trying to enforce this new border. Mexico does not take this lying down, and they put their own troops there, and they begin the Battle of the Rio Grande. Once this battle happens, war has kicked off, right? There's no going back from this point. So we declare war formally, and war continues. Unfortunately for Mexico, this war does not go great for them. America has a lot of victories that are very overwhelming, right? Zachary Taylor continues to go south. General Stephen Kearny goes west, and he takes Southern California. In Northern California, the Bear Flag Republic has been made after their own revolt, actually very similar to Texas, where they revolt from Mexico, and they become their own country for just like a short period of time. I don't know exactly how long. So they lose Northern California to this rebellion. They lose Southern California to Kearney, and all the while, they're suffering huge losses. Most numbers I saw were like 3 times as many losses for Mexico as there were for America. Our war eventually ends because General Winfield Scott, he moves down and south from into Veracruz into Mexico City, and once Mexico's lost Mexico City, the war is basically done for them. They sign a treaty because every war needs to end with a treaty, and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo concludes the war. We agree that the United States will pay $15 million for all of this land that originally we had offered $30 million for. And soon afterwards, we purchase the last little chunk of land in the Gadsden Purchase, which is in 1853, and that finishes out our entire continental United States. Now, luckily we resemble what we resemble today, more or less, we are finally complete. Eventually, we still have to get Hawaii and Alaska, but for our purposes, Manifest Destiny has finally been completed, right? We have finally extended ourselves from coast to coast. So I'll see everybody on the next one.